So you get to play two characters. Not only were you bumped up to series regular, but you're a busy man.
Yeah.
What is it like taking on both of these Lincolns?
It's amazing. It's so much fun to get to go back and forth too, and they're each so different and each represent such different aspects of my own personal psyche that it's really fun to like man up once a week and kind of like nerd out once a week, and it's very cathartic.
A question that kind of obvious to ask is that the other Lincoln, although the one we knew better, obviously carried quite a torch for Bolivia. Now that there's the other Lincoln meeting Olivia, is there same sort of attraction?
It seems to be happening again. I think initially when Lincoln met Olivia in our universe, obviously the conditions were very intense in that his partner was just killed, but they immediately had a very good connection and became partners pretty quickly and found that they really saw eye to eye. And I think as we go along, we'll see that relationship open up a little more, and those feelings seem to cross universes.
So far, we've seen Lincoln kind of be a newbie in the lab scenes. Is he kind of fall into things pretty quickly, or is there still kind of a newness to him being with everybody?
I think it was a big win when Walter called Lincoln Kennedy and invited him in to help with a certain experiment, because that was kind of Walter's way of accepting him. You know, getting his name wrong is that means he likes you. And so I was really happy when that happened, because that would mean I would have a lot more time to work with John Noble and kind of get to do those fun things that he does in the lab.
Lincoln is, filling the place that we traditionally think of Peter on the team. Now Peter's going to be back, but no one's going to know who he is. So how is that sort of going to work?
It's been a big thing for me to have Lincoln never be a factor that is threatening to replace Peter. And obviously with the lack of Peter, that concept is threatened to the audience and to the world of Fringe. But I think the role that Lincoln has taken is very different than Peter. And Lincoln, his mindset is very different from Peter in that Lincoln wants to get the job done. And Peter is the real kind of Indiana Jones, a bit of an anti-hero who kind of reluctantly goes along and has perspective and is able to, what's the word, kind of comment on what's happening as it's happening. And so he's kind of a voice that the show needs and certainly can't be replaced, that's there to kind of be above it all and at the same time very much in it, and ultimately I'm sure the hero that will save it, as he did last season. And so in terms of Lincoln and Peter coming back, I think there's obviously definitely room for both of them to exist. And I think the one episode I had last season where Josh and I got to work together on our side, I thought there was a really good relationship and chemistry the way those two characters work together, and I really hope we get to do a lot more of that this time when he does ultimately return. If he does that, you have a Save Peter shirt on. That's awesome.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're filming today and kind of what we can expect?
Today we're at a bus stop in the alt universe, and there is some possible shapeshifter activity that we are investigating. And we haven't seen much in the alt side. Alt Lincoln has never met a shapeshifter, so obviously it's a mission of great importance for Lincoln because the shapeshifter killed his partner, and so he has a vendetta against them. But I'm not sure yet how Lincoln perceives them, and I'm curious to see how that develops.
What is the script called, by the way, the names of the two characters?
Alt Lincoln and Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want there to be like a really cool name, like Rock and Roll Lincoln, or like, but there's not.
We just call him Blinken.
Blinken?
So
yeah,
far.
because it's what, for Blue Universe Lincoln, or
Well, better than
Bolivia. Oh, Bolivia, Blinken.
Lincoln, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say Astrid has the best. Kick Astrid.
Kick Astrid? That's awesome. We need to like have that in the scripts.
Is there any chance we might see the two Lincolns interacting at any point?
There is a chance of that. There is a good chance of that.
How do you think they would react?
I think that the glasses-wearing Lincoln would be probably intimidated by the other one. I think all Lincoln would be, at first, probably initially dismissive of Lincoln. But there's obviously a difference in intelligence between the two, and I think Lincoln on our side has a very real intelligence when it comes to kind of book smarts and thinking outside the box. And I think Lincoln in the alt universe has a lot of experience when it comes to doing and getting things done and being pragmatic and practical, and also courageous and bold and self-confident. And they both have a lot that they can learn from each other.
What are we going to see as far as we're hearing, episode 8, what you're filming now is really big and from sort of a game changer of bringing the two universes together. Sort of, they really have to work together now. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, the bridge exists. So, I mean, this season we've been waiting for, okay, when is that really going to pay off? When are we going to really see these two sides forced to be put together, which is what Peter wanted when he created the bridge. And episode 8 is where that really begins to happen and really begins to coagulate and force these two sides to confront each other and work out their issues. And obviously in working out their issues, because we're not at the end of the season, it's going to take some time for that to bubble over.
Are we going to see some backstory with Lincoln, like really get more of who he is as a character and stuff that we haven't seen on the show yet?
I hope so. The first episode I did, I shot Nick, who was a Cortexavan kid, and Alt Lincoln recognized him, and so I really hope we kind of see how that pays off. Also, Walter Nitt mentioned my father being a big part of the DoD in the alt universe, and so I'm curious to see who my father was. I'm curious to know kind of what that familial role is in both universes, and if Lincolnit, maybe Lincolnit is a good way to say it. If Lincolnit, if his father was important, then I wonder who Lincoln on our side, who his father was.
Lincoln is, kind of new to all of this insanity that's a weekly thing for the Fringe people. How is he sort of absorbing all these insane things he's seeing?
He's taking it okay. He's able to do it and get the job done, but at the same time, I think he realizes, and I'm realizing it too, like, whoa, I'm getting used to these cases. I'm getting used to dealing with these really crazy things that I never even knew existed before. And I think he's conscious enough to realize that that's probably not a good thing, to become desensitized like that. And so he's going through the same process I go through as an actor, which is just like, don't get desensitized, like realize the stakes of what is happening. There's a man jumping over a bus or like onto a building, like that's crazy, that shouldn't happen. And so Lincoln, you'll see on the show Lincoln kind of deal with that a bit and take a step back and be like, whoa, wait a minute, this is not right. I'm not sure if I like this. And I realized that the death of his partner kind of represents the death of his former self, and that things are never going to be the same after that point.
Now that you're full-time on the show, are you getting a different sense of the fandom for this show? Are you hearing more from people?
Going to Comic-Con was the first time I really had interaction with the fans, and it was incredible. It was so much fun, because here in Vancouver, you're on set and you go back to your home and then you go back to set again and then you go back to LA, and you don't really interact with a lot of people. But going to Comic-Con, I mean, the level of support that's out there is incredible, and the attention to detail that everyone brings, it really forces us to realize, okay, we need to step up our game. We need to know exactly what's going on so that we can fulfill that promise of having a very rich world that has no loose ends, like that it all makes sense and it all works out.